going on, guys? Actually had some free time. Yeah, I know. What is free time, right? So I decided to make a video before I go out tonight. We're going to talk about the 40-year-old woman that was shot in Minneapolis by police. When was this story broken? Today. So this happened today. It's one of the trending news articles on Google. Sadly, this is a strangely common headline that we hear in the US. We don't really hear this in other countries, but for some reason this happens with alarming frequency in the US. So just go through the story in a nutshell. This 40-year-old woman, Justine Damond, called police after hearing a sound in an alley near the home, the house that she was living in. And then so she calls the cops. The cops show up, and then she approaches them, to say, hey, I'm the one who called you. This is a situation. You go to the cops when you call them, usually, or they come to you. That's usually how it fucking works. And they just straight up shot her to death. Just, first of all, imagine if this was someone you knew. I would be so infuriated. I would just be like someone you cared about, And it's just like, this happens all the time in this country. People call the police, or innocent people get shot by the police for no fucking reason. It's just like, dude, why the fuck did you shoot her? You have to, one of the primary rules of gun ownership or shooting a gun, this applies to private citizens as well as police officers. Know your target before you shoot. This officer did not know who he was shooting at. If he knew that it was a 40-year-old mom, I don't think she's a mom. Never mind, sorry. 40-year-old woman who called 911 in the first place to, request assistance, then he wouldn't have shot her. It was a mistake. But it was one of the fundamental rules of gun ownership and shooting a gun that he broke. So even though it was an accident, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, just, what the hell were you thinking? Why are you so fucking scared? I know doing police duty is very stressful. Don't get me wrong. Police duty is very stressful. You're put in near impossible situations. There are threats on your life whenever this call could have been fatal for the police officer. And he was probably thinking that whenever he goes out. Every police officer thinks that whenever they go out to make a call, this might turn into a firefight. But that's no excuse for being so much of a, I don't even know how to describe it, just, this guy must have been just so frightened of a situation and did not enact the police procedures and the police training that he received, and he was just, as they were driving, and then as soon as she was, it's just like, why are you a police officer? If this is how you react to a potential stressful situation, you should not have a gun. You should not be a police officer. You should not be able to use deadly force. Because this happens all the time. Like, if this was a rare anomaly that happened once or twice a year in an entire country of 330 plus million people, they'd say, you know what? Shit happens. I know, it sucks. And it's very tragic. But there's no way that thousands, hundreds of thousands of police encounters cannot happen. Out of all the thousands of police encounters, this is going to happen every once in a while because of just tragic circumstances. But the thing is, this happens, like I said before, with alarming frequency in this country. Just this country. It doesn't happen in Britain. It doesn't happen in Australia. It doesn't happen in a lot of third world countries either. I mean, it's just, for some reason, in this country, the police officers just love shooting innocent, unarmed people. Now, that's not all the people that shoot. Like, they go further down the article, and it says, this shooting, one of 500 fatal shootings by police in the United States this year, some of those fatal shootings were justified. Do not take my stuff out of context and say that, the police are all racist thugs and every single person they kill is innocent and, they shouldn't have shot any of these 500 fatal shootings, because, unfortunately, 500 fatal police shootings is a very broad statement. So her shooting goes in the same category as a robber fleeing police after he robbed a 7-Eleven. He's a shootout with them, and then they shoot and kill him. That still counts towards the 500 fatal shootings by police in the United States this year. Two wildly different situations that get lumped into the same thing. So I'm not saying that all the 500 are not justified, but a lot of them are not justified, and it just doesn't make any fucking sense. You're just, why the fuck is that? I mean, I know. I know the answer. But seemingly no one else cares. So people who do care can't do anything about it. no alcohol tonight because I'm driving when I'm going out today, so it's just water. The other part of this story that just adds to my ire over this, and if I was someone close to this person, I would just be irate at this, is that neither of them had their body cameras on. Why the fucking hell do you go through all this training and all this purchasing? It costs tens of thousands, not millions of dollars, to put body cams on police officers throughout the country, and you don't bother turning it on. That's another thing that happens at an alarmingly high rate, is that lots of these, oh, I caught myself. I was going to say all these shootings, not all of them. A lot of these unjustified shootings, conveniently, the police officers don't have their body cameras turned on. What a coincidence! And we're just supposed to just take that. As U.S. citizens, seeing our fellow citizens being murdered by the hundreds by police forces across the country. Like, oh, he just didn't turn his camera on. Oh, whoops. How many times does this have to happen before you're like, guys, I can't buy your excuses that they just forgot to turn it on, or it wasn't working properly, or just whatever. I mean, it happens all the fucking time. Do you think we're stupid and naive and we're supposed to believe that all this is just tragic? That this is just a normal thing that happens in a modern society. Police officers just forget to turn their body cameras on and just kill hundreds of people. Like, imagine if this was an ordinary citizen. This brings another topic of how cops overwhelmingly get by unjustified shootings. When private citizens are in the exact same situation, they get hit with so much more scrutiny. Can you imagine if this happened and there were no police officers involved? A guy was just driving, and he saw a woman and he shot her out of some paranoid, unjustified, just completely retarded fear. And we're supposed to take his fear seriously. We're not. Oh, it was just an accident. That just happens. Can you not see how people would abuse that and just go shooting every third person they see, saying, "Oh, I feared for my life." Oh, he said he was scared, so it's okay. This murder is okay. I bet you this is what's going to happen. The conviction rate for police officers in unjustified shootings is ridiculously low because people overwhelmingly, just by default, take the cop's side. They believe his story more because he is a cop versus the other side of the story. If a cop is responding to something and he gets scared and shoots and kills someone by accident, odds are he's going to be let go. But if a private citizen did the exact same thing, no fucking way. People will be like, what the fuck were you doing? Why are you so fucking scared? Why didn't you properly identify your target like you're fucking supposed to when you have a gun? And he would get convicted. But wearing a police badge gives you this magical power to just murder innocent people and just say, "Oh, I fear for my life. Oh, I was scared. Oh, she came out in the middle of the night. Yeah, lots of crime happened at night. She was calling you to try to help her because she heard a noise in the alley or whatever, She was calling, expecting the police to help her. They end up fucking murdering her. This is why I don't call police. If there's a problem, I'll fucking deal with it myself. There's hardly ever a situation I can't handle on my own, including potentially violent situations. I'm not crippled. I'm not old. I'm not blind. I can defend myself. So it would have to be like a fucking 12 MS-13 gang members attacking my house when I would say, okay, now I need to call the police. Now I need backup. But anything less than that, I can fucking take care of myself. So what am I going to do? Is rant about this? And say how this was horrible, how this was tragedy, and why I wish this shouldn't keep happening. You gotta offer solutions. You can just criticize something and say, well, that's the end of it, without offering some solutions. So there are many steps that we can take in order for this not to happen, because other countries, that doesn't happen in other countries. Somehow they figured it out to have this not happen. So we need to do what they do. The biggest solution we can do is stop the militarization of police. There is no fucking reason why every police department needs to be armed to the teeth like they're going to fight a war. There's no fucking reason why we need, rocket-proof APCs. When is the last time someone shot a rocket at a police car in this country? Just tell me. Just please tell me, because I can't think of any time that I've ever heard someone shooting a rocket launcher at a police cruiser, and they're like, oh yeah, well, we actually need that rocket-proof APC. Yeah, yeah. The militarization of police is not only the physical arming of these police departments, but the mentality that they are at war with the citizenry. They are at war with the U.S. citizens. They are at war with the population that they are, the county or whatever that they're zoned in, and they have to go at this gung-ho like a occupying force in order to quell down the resistance being the crimes that happen in every county. It's like, that's not the mentality you need to do in order to police. That's what the military does. You're not the fucking military. You're supposed to serve the community, not quell it and view it as the enemy. Now, police supporters are going to say, well, there's so many police officers killed in the line of duty by U.S. citizens. That's why they're scared. That's why they're fearful for their lives. That's why they see every citizen as a potential threat. It's just like, I'm not denying that those police shootings, that people shooting police happen. I'm not denying that happens. And I'm not justifying it. But police officers' deaths have been the lowest it has been in decades. The amount of people killed by police, the amount of police officers killed by people is so heavily one-sided that does not justify the gung-ho, shoot and ask questions later mentality that the police departments have. It just doesn't, the numbers just do not add up. If police officers were getting killed by the thousands, like an insurgency was happening in the U.S., and what's happening in Iraq, in the Iraqi police officers being killed by the thousands by insurgents, then yeah, I can justify militarization of the police because that's the threat you're dealing with. But what threat are you dealing with here? A 40-year-old woman asking for help, and you shoot her. I don't want to live in a country where I fear the authorities. People in Britain don't do that. People see the police officers in Britain as protectors of their community, people they can go to when they have a problem. That you're not scared to talk to is because you would self-incriminate yourself by saying a statement. They don't have that fucking problem. But we do. I was taught not to talk to the police officer because everything you say could be used against you. You should just avoid them at all costs. Because they view you as the enemy. And any single time you might say something that they can twist to try to get you in trouble for something, to satisfy their quota, then they'll go ahead and do it. And it's just like, this is the culture we have created. The relationship between the authorities and the citizens. That's not how it should work. We pay them. We own them. We direct them. They are supposed to protect us. But yet we live in fear of them. Another thing we can do so this doesn't happen again is turn your fucking body cams on. Are you fucking kidding me? How retarded do you think that I think you are? You're a police officer. You can't turn it on. You're too dumb to do that. How many times are you going to use that excuse? Oh, it just wasn't on. Why the fuck wasn't it on? You know you have it on you. It's not like it's put on your uniform and then someone just didn't tell you. You went through training to use it. And you just conveniently didn't turn it on. You know what that sounds like? You have something to hide. And that's why you didn't turn it on. You want to get away with things that's not legal. That's not with police procedures. And that's why you conveniently leave it off. If this was one of the rare instances that this happened, like once or twice a year out of hundreds of thousands of police officers, say, yeah, okay, it just, people are human, they forget, but this happens almost all the time. It seems like almost every single time I see an unjustified police shooting in the news, they say, oh, the body cam wasn't turned on. Then what's the point of them? What's the point of using our tax money to pay for them if you don't bother turning them on? Why did police officers have the ability to turn them off in the first place? How retarded is that? The whole way we're approaching this is wrong. And that's why we come out with these outcomes in society that other societies don't have. Like police murdering people who called them in the first place. I had a similar situation happen to me several years ago that didn't involve them shooting me because I called them, but I did call a police officer for help with something, and then they show up thinking that I was the criminal that I called about. And, they're like interrogating me. They didn't even try bothering catching the suspect, and were just rude and just condescending, and they were just like, why are you carrying a weapon on you? It's like, guys, calm down. I called you because someone was trying to go after me with a gun, and I grabbed the nearest weapon I had, which was a knife, but that's a pretty one-sided fight, so I called you guys to help me. Just, what, do you want to look at my cell phone and see who called 911? Was it me or someone else? I mean, And that's the instance I realized that I cannot trust the police to protect me because they didn't. Now you say, oh, well, that might be an anomaly. That doesn't happen very often. Well, look at this. This is just one instance that took it a step further. She calls them and they kill her. This happens all the time. In this country, it doesn't happen in other countries. Well, why not? Just in the conversation we had before. So it's just like, this is a pattern. This is a problem with the system. It is systematic failure of how the police conduct themselves in this country. Because it's not an anomaly. It's not a few bad apples. It seemingly happens all the time. And innocent lives get ruined because of it. Not only is this woman dead, but all her friends and family, she was soon to be married, whatever, all of their lives are forever changed. Maybe ruined. If you were supposed to marry someone next month and then they get shot, I mean, I think that would probably ruin your life, or at least a hardship that most people cannot comprehend. And it's just like, this is a result of people just not giving a shit. We keep on allowing this to happen. We keep on voting politicians in office that don't make the police departments make the changes that I talked about. You know, stop militarizing them, turning the body cameras on, the mentality that they have on their relationship with the citizens. You know, we keep on voting for politicians that don't enact these changes. Well, you guys do. I vote Libertarian, okay? I'm trying to fix this, and you guys keep on voting for the same two parties over and over again. And then this is a result of your actions. Innocent people are killed because you guys keep on voting for politicians who won't change police procedures. We don't hold police officers accountable for their actions. The juries keep on letting them go, even though it's just like every single piece of evidence is weighed against them. Oh, because of the police officer, they have that magical badge. Oh, no, he's free. No, it's okay. They murdered someone in cold blood. It's okay. So that's all I have. I described the problem, described why it was a tragedy, and described why it happened and how we can seek to prevent these things happening in the future. But I know people won't listen to me. My channel is really small. People don't listen. People don't like what I have to say. So this will continue to happen, and hundreds of people, innocent people will die in this country every single year because people just do not take this seriously. When I say people, I know there's people who care about this. I don't act like I'm the only one that cares about this, you know, and everyone else is just a dumbass. No, but libertarians are a very small percent of the population. Overwhelming majority of people support the police and support the politicians who allow them to do this, allow them to get away with this. You know, so when I say people, I mean overwhelming majority of people. Not everyone, obviously. But until we enact the changes that I described, we're going to continue to see this in the United States seemingly every single week.